Hello, friends. So in our last lesson, we talked about data types in TypeScript. So now I want to carry on with that concept in this particular lesson. So we talked about the enum keyword last. So we'll start with the void type in this lesson. As you already know, we use the void type in functions that do not return any value. So let's simply define a function. And a console print hello. And if you wish, you can return a different value. However, if we come in here and define the function as void, then returning will give us an error because we specify that we will not return any value by making the function void. So if we don't want to return any value and we want to do an operation there, we can use the void type to print something like here. All right, so now let's get into, well, briefly, the undefined type. Actually, what this data type means. So we've defined a number variable, but if we've not assigned any value to this variable will be undefined. But if we come in here and assign a value here, then undefined will disappear. The other data type similar to undefined is the null type, and we usually encounter these in database errors. So let's just say that we've defined a class, but we haven't shown any references like this. And when we want to access this class, the result will, of course, be null because we do not provide any reference. All right? So that's that for data types. But before we finish the lesson here, I want to talk a little bit about data assertions. To evaluate this situation, I'll first create a variable and define a string expression. So look here. We can see that our variable now is a string. Now if we write our variable and put a dot, we can see the string methods that we can use. Thus, we can do different operations on this variable. For example, when we can capitalize all the letters here, or we can use the length of this string expression. And here I'm assigning the character length of the string expression to a different variable like this. So there's no problem with the transactions that we've done so far. So what will happen if I change the variable that I first defined? Well, this variable is no longer a string. It's an any variable. When we put a dot here again and look at it, we can't use the previous method because those methods are valid for string variables. So in order to fix this, I write the type I want to convert between the less than and greater than signs. Then I put this expression in parentheses. And as you can now see, when I put a dot, I can see the method. So in this way, we have converted a variable that is any to a string variable. So here you definitely need to pay attention to the variable that we want to transform, and the variable here must be the same. I'll get an error if I come in here and write a number, right? Because this is a string expression. So we can write this expression differently as follows. So I'll define another variable, and I'll write the name of the first variable, then write as string in parentheses. And as you can see, we can now recognize that they are string methods. So we can make the type conversion in two different forms of writing. And that's it. I think we're done now. So in our next lesson, we're going to start functions. All right? See you then.